I'm back with some more Kerbal Space Program. We left Valentina off last time here in orbit around the moon. Looks like Kerbin's just about to set behind the moon. And we are in this big elliptical orbit here, and we're trying to get to these points to get temperature readings. This is going to be a little bit of a strange episode. This is all in post-commentary. Some issues happened when recording the audio, and basically I didn't get anything, so I have to do it in post-commentary. So let's go. We have to get to these points, and most of them are... It would help if they were on this side, because we're already low around here. But we are in this big elliptical orbit, so we can adjust our inclination so we can pass more directly over them. And then we'll have to circularize, so we'll get down low, because a few of them are readings below about 10 kilometers, while I think half of them are above 10 kilometers, or thereabouts. So we'll have to correct our inclination to get down to like that area. We're not going to pass over it. We may pass over that area, but definitely the southerly areas we're not going to pass over. So let's pull up our contracts here to figure out the height. Those are the Kerbin areas that we have to take temperature readings of eventually. Here we go for the moon ones. And you see that one's below 11 kilometers. The next two are above 7,000 kilometers. Yeah, below 11 kilometers, above 7 kilometers. And the final one is below just about 10 kilometers. And we look here, figure out which ones are which I happen to know because this is future me. Those two right down there are the two high ones. Or low ones. Below 11 or 10 kilometers. While those two are the above 7,000 kilometers, so they're going to be a little easier to hit. So the first thing we want to do is adjust our inclination. So let's add a maneuver. Yeah, because right now we're not going to pass over them no matter how many times we orbit. So we need to get in a more polar orbit. So if I just tilt that because we're already mostly tilted that way, that changes our inclination. Unfortunately, at the same time, it also raises our periapsis. So we have to then adjust our prograde speed. And let's see how much thrust this will take. 49 or 50 meters per second is not a very big thrust. So this is great. That's about the right inclination we want, but now we're going to hit the surface. So that's not good. Let's readjust that back to approximately the same altitude. We don't want it too high, as we do have to get low for some of these. So let's just adjust that a little bit. Something right about there. That looks ballpark where we want it. Alright. Everything looks pretty good with that. Yeah, so we're going to want to circularize after we make this maneuver so we can pass low over those points as is needed. So let's just check out our ship info here. Doesn't show how much fuel we have, which was what I was hoping, but we can see that here. We got about, I don't know, between 2/3 and 3/4 of our fuel left. So that should be pretty good. So let's head towards, or get ready for the node. Aim in that direction. And then time warp out. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's get ready to time warp out. And we're just going to say warp to the next maneuver. And away we go. It looks like we're going fast, but we are going to stay within the moon's sphere of influence. As you can see, we're already slowing way down. And there we go. Time warp is complete. So we got about a minute to this burn. See, yeah, solar cells are charging back up. Or did charge back up. We need to make sure that we don't want to run out of power. Let's just a little bit of time warp to the maneuver. And it does say NA for the burn time, but 54 is going to be pretty short, so let's start now. See, the camera changed because we are suborbital, but as we continue to burn, our orbit will come back out. There we go, and stop. That looks pretty good. Alright, we are done with that maneuver. Okay, we now want to plan a circularization burn. And so we're going to add a maneuver here. And we want to get something that will have us going about 10 to 15 kilometers so we can make small burns to dip below or go above as needed for the various points. So let's just, alright, flipped around there. 15 on one side. That looks pretty good. 18 on one side. And yeah. Trying to focus in on seeing if we're passing over any of those points, but it's centered on the ship right now, and looks like I accidentally adjusted the orbit there, so let's put it back. Alright. Yeah, it looks like we'll be heading over those in an orbit or two, so that will be good. And let's just get ready to warp to next maneuver. And let's actually point at the maneuver first. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's turn so our solar panels are still in the sun and we get charged. Here we go. This side has two solar panels, one on the little cone here, and one on the cockpit, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't think of the name for a second there. Alright, so that's 56, 49. That's probably alright. 53 and 55, that's a little better. Alright, so let's get ready to warp to this maneuver. Alright, here we go. Spoiler alert, things aren't going to go well. Alright, we're coming around here. 3 hours, approaching the moon. 2 hours. 1 hour. Whoa, what happened? Look at that. We're still going at 50x warp, and we've already passed maneuver by 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Alright. Got it stopped. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but what I think happened is we entered the zone of the one area, and for whatever reason, it interrupted the automatic ending of the warp to maneuver. And so we kept on going at whatever speed we were going at. I actually noticed this happen a few more times. So let's just slow down at this point and try to circularize, because we don't want to go way out in a big orbit, and that will take a lot of time, and the moon will rotate, and we may not pass over the point again. So let's try to do the best with what we have. We're going to bring this in, and you can see we're going to hit the surface now. So I decided let's plan out a maneuver as quickly as we can. We're going to radial in, it looks like, and slow down, and that will somewhat get us in a circular orbit. At least that's closer to circular than hitting the surface. Still 104 by 14. That's the wrong way again. This should get it more centered. 96 by 37. We need to slow down a bit more. And we're in the surface again. But 30 by 80, which is, I mean, we can't get better than that at this point. So let's do that. Point at the target. Thrust. All the way up. So, I won't call that a disaster, but that definitely not what we wanted. We'll probably be using more fuel to get in the orbit we wanted. Alright, so we're in a low orbit. Not one that, we were taking, I don't know, that was going to be, it was 4 hours out and then 4 hours back, so almost an 8-hour orbit. This is probably down to about an hour. So we hopefully will pass over these points. It looks like we may, get pretty low to pass over them. So let's get our periapsis down. That may be a little too close, because mountains are up to about 5,000 or so meters. 6 kilometers should be good, though. I'm not sure if the moon will rotate around enough that we'll get under that one, but we may pass over that one again. So let's try this out. Do a little burn to get low enough to get the data from that point. Yeah, let's check. That's the one. We need to be below 9,800. Well, that's 6 kilometers. That should be good. We may even raise that up, so 7 kilometers will be safe, and we will rise, but after we pass the periapsis, but that will still gives us basically 2 kilometers of leeway, and I don't think we'll be rising that fast. So let's get ready to do this burn, which actually we should have already done a few seconds ago. Alright. A little lower than we wanted, but that's fine. So, that crisis seems to have been averted. And we're in a good position. Let's just make sure our solar panels are charging, and we are having full power here. Alright, let's warp to there, and hope we don't run into issues again. And we're going behind into the shadow of the moon there. And let's turn on the lights here, so we can see what we're doing. Alright, we still got a ways to go. I'm not sure if we're going to pass over that point. Let's just warp to there and see if we are getting close enough. We are pretty low now, so we can't warp that fast. Alright, this time warp completed successfully. Probably going to be a bit far from that point, but maybe in an orbit or two we'll get over it. I'm sure I was saying something here. Yeah, alright. We're time warping to try to get a little closer. And let's get ready on the thermometer just in case. Oh, that says review data. That's right, we took some data last time and did not retrieve it or send it. So let's send Valentina out on EVA to collect it. And we take data from the thermometer. Let's take data from the barometer. While we're here, let's do an EVA report. Oh, look at that, we're over the moon's midlands, and that's new science. That's great. I think I'm going to leave the rest, the materials bay for now. Let's just get in. We're starting to slide off the ladder, so let's just get in, and we'll be ready for the next point we travel over now. Good thing we did not get inside that range, and looks like we're actually going to get pretty close to that point. So let's maybe time warp up to here. And hope everything goes well. Alright, we're back out into the sun, charging our electricity. And oh, it looks like we may miss that one, and it's gonna keep going further away from our orbit. So let's add a little maneuver here to get more directly over it. Not sure how close we have to get. I'm gonna say that looks good, but that's another 80 meters per second delta V we need to do, and let's point at the target and burn. There we go. A little early, but the earlier we do it, the less fuel is going to take to change our direction. That's about good, I think. It looks good. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where we're going to pass over, but that should be good. And this is one of the high points, and we are pretty high. We're almost 34 kilometers up. Hopefully that will still count. So let's just get ready here and see if we pass over the point. And look, we are entering the zone. Let's take the reading. And look at that. It counted. Let's move this out of the way. Temperature scan. Alright. And, well, transmitting it not going to be worth anything. But we can recover it, so let's keep that data. And we're going to send Valentina out to collect it. Let's actually click EVA instead of on the command pod. So let's take all the data out and take the temperature data. Let's get a crew report while we're out, EVA report while we're out here. And look at that, we're over the moon's southwest crater. Let's keep that data. And get back in. And we can actually do another crew report now. But I think we already have one from orbit, so we'll save that for when we land. Alright, so we did a maneuver, so we're not that close to those points anymore. So let's just see how close we'll be in the 40 minutes when we get around. So let's warp here. And just coming around. Alright, we don't look like we're too close still. So let's go around again and do a warp here. It looks like our orbits are about 50 minutes. So we'll see how much that makes the rotation moves the point compared to our orbit. Oh, give that speed up. Look at that. It says time warp complete, but we're still in 50x. And, oh, yeah, we almost passed that point there. Had to manually remove the time warp. I'm wondering if it has something to do with we're changing altitudes, and because of that, the maximum time warp speed changes, and when it steps back, it just considers the time warp complete, even though it doesn't turn it all the way to 0. So we'll have to be careful of that. Since we're not that close to the point, we'll have to go around again. You can see we now can go 1,000, 100, now 1,000, and then it drops back to 50 and says time warp complete. So I'm wondering if that's a known bug or not. Alright, so let's manually get ourselves closer, because I stopped it as soon as it said time warp complete. And we're beginning to get close to the point, but I don't think we're quite close enough yet. Now let's look out here. It's not like we can see the point, but we can actually have it come up on our nav ball. You can see it there, and it's actually quite close to the horizon, which means it's a bit of a far way off. If we were going right over it, it would be going right down to the dot on the brown part of the nav ball. So I don't think we're getting that close, but we'll have to check. Right now should be our closest approach, and nothing popped up. So even though I'm ready on the thermometer there, we'll have to go around again. Alright, manually warping here, just to get near the point. Alrighty, that looks close. Let's see. Alright, you can see the thermometer icon is now a little further from the horizon, which means we'll be closer this time. So maybe now we'll be close enough. So let's get ready on the thermometer. And it doesn't look like we're close enough quite yet. Alright, one more time around. Let's try to get... There we go. That will let us warp to here. For some reason, edge on like we were, the little points weren't coming up. And alright, we're approaching the point again. Trying to determine if we're gonna fly right over it or not. We're pretty close, but let's see what happens. And nosing down. Oh, you can see it's blinking. We're getting ready. Oh, let's try to click on this. Oh, the ship's still wobbling, and we're leaving. Oh, and I missed it. Alright. Unbeknownst to me at this time, I missed it in two ways. Not only did I miss it as in being late, but if you're looking closely, I was too high. In fact, our periapsis is too high, so let's warp around again, not knowing that we're too high. A second thing that I didn't notice, I'll point it out if it happens to come up. I don't think it actually will come up. Alright, so I'm slowing down, getting ready. Let's get a little bit closer. Turn, get ready. So we're all ready to log the temperature, but unbeknownst to me at the time, our height is above. We need to be below 9.8 kilometers. So I hit log temperature, and we're about 15 kilometers, and the little thing in the corner doesn't pop up, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I realize, oh no, it says below. Yeah, well, alright, I try it again. Now we're leaving. And that's when I realize, oh no, it says below 9,800, and we're at 16 kilometers at this point. Yeah. That's a problem. So we're gonna need to adjust our height. When we made that maneuver before, it raised our periapsis up. The second thing that I said I was going to point out is look at the position of Kerbal. It's going to eclipse the sun in just a bit. Alright, so I'm making a maneuver here. We're going to go back to the periapsis and slow down. And we really need our apoapsis to be that point, because we need to go down from there. So we need to slow down enough that the periapsis and apoapsis swap points like that. And that's still going to be 8.5 kilometers, so we should still be missing the surface, but we should be going down. Our only concern is if we're going down fast enough to get under 9.8 kilometers by that point. As we saw before, we can go around this just about an hour, and we should still be passing over the point, but now that we have the maneuver, we should be then going down from there. Alright, so we're getting ready to do this burn. We got about a minute before the maneuver. Gonna get that down 30 seconds or so. Let's point at the target. We're just about at 10 kilometers. We're going to be slowing down here. Very small burn, 2 seconds. Probably going to start about 5 seconds and just throttle up a little, so it takes about 10 seconds total. And 3, 2, 1. Getting the countdowns correct in post commentary is a little harder. And as you can see there for a second there, the sun is just about to get eclipsed. But I don't know it. And we have our lights on and we're on the dark side and half our power's gone already. Alright, so we should be good now. We are heading down slowly. We're not going down too quick, but hopefully we should be below the needed height of 9.8 kilometers by the time we get over the point. You can see we're heading down to 8.3 kilometers. Little adjustment, little burn, get that down a little more. Just so we're sure we're below 9.8, because we're not traveling down too quickly yet, but I don't want to move it anywhere below 6. because I don't want to risk hitting the surface. So let's just time warp in a little closer, keeping an eye on our height. It is going down. We've got about another 200 meters to go before we are in the safe zone. Yeah. 9.97. Time warp a little more. Alright, we are in the safe zone and we still have a little ways to go, so this should count. It's now just get ready and don't make a mistake. And miss getting the temperature reading. So the thermometer is right there. Let's get ready. And wait for us to get in the area. And hey, we're entering the area just as I switched to the map view. Great. No, not the capsule. The thermometer. Let's go. Alright. That counted. And, yeah, we already took a reading here. So keeping it is not going to do us any good. So let's reset the experiment. And you can see it counted. That's great. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna miss the surface, but we now need to get to these other 2 points. And, so let's add a maneuver. We have to change our inclination, or we'd like to change our inclination. So if we just attempted to change our inclination, well, it's gonna raise our apoapsis so as well, but we have to keep adjusting it. Well, you can see that's over 400 meters per second. That's almost enough to land. So we probably don't want to do that. However, if we raise our apoapsis again, we're going to have much less thrust needed to change our inclination. So that's going to be 93 just to get out there. It will be 93 to bring it back to approximately what we have. But it's probably going to be a lot less than 100 to change our inclination. So that's going to be much more efficient. Probably only taking 250 instead of 400. But we want to raise our apoapsis first of all. So let's do that. And we're not going for anything specific, so that's probably good. I think it actually worked out to be almost 250 kilometers. And we're gonna. So our periapsis is a little under 9. And there, our apoapsis at 256 kilometers. That's great. And here we go. Alright. Hey, it looks like we're in the sun, but we're not charging. What's going on there? There's... Oh, I think I'm setting up for the maneuver here, not realizing that we have been eclipsed. Yeah, so we want to try to get our orbit to pass over both of these points, so that we can get them in one orbit or close to it. So we need to change our inclination, but that affects our periapsis height. So we need to keep adjusting both, and that's getting close. And the other way. That looks pretty good. We just need to bring that back down because, well, the 1 point is below 11 kilometers, so. That looks pretty good. And it's lined up decently. And there's where I notice, hey, we look lit up, but the sun is behind Kerbin. And now we're at 85, 86 power. So let's turn off those lights. There we go. So we gone dark, but we're saving electricity now. We do still have SAS on and using electricity, but uses only a tiny bit if you're not actively turning, and we're not actively turning. So we hopefully should be good until the sun peaks out past Kerbin again. That's going to wrap up this episode. I'll see you guys next time with some more Kerbal Space Program.